Happy June 2nd. It is Friday, and we are talking about Europe here at MarketStream.live. My name is Joseph Cusick with the Cusick Group Securities offered by MoneyBlock. Let's start jumping in because the headlines are the U.S. pulling out of the Paris Accord. Now, there's a lot of turmoil. There's a lot of business leaders, a lot of world leaders, and also some local leaders that basically say that this is the wrong move, that we need to keep these climate controls in place. With that being said, we've seen certain segments of the European market react really positively to this. Specifically, you take a look at the UK and the FTSE. The FTSE right now is up 24 early in the session. Biggest driver, energy. Once the US basically pulled out, the energy markets got real volatile. As a matter of fact, you saw that the crude markets actually have been pulling off pretty considerably. With that being said, you start to see that kind of pullback. You're going to see that the UK is going to be under pressure. But what was interesting is that even though that there is the risk that the US drillers could start drawing out more oil, the bottom line is that the energy sector in the EU, for specifically the English, for the UK and the FTSE, it's been holding strong, and we're seeing growth in consumer and financial names. So that means that basically they could see a benefit from the lower crude prices because the consumer could be spending more, that financials could be lending more because people are doing better because they don't have to pay as much for the commodities like oil and specifically byproducts like gasoline. The German DAX, really seeing some upside this morning early, up 200 at 1.5%. One of the biggest drivers, we're seeing names like large cap names, Merck, Bayer being one of them. That's a pharmaceutical. That's up about 2.5% this morning. You're also seeing automakers, BMW, Chrysler, after seeing some of the North American numbers and the fact that pulling out of the Paris Accord, that could give autos a little bit of a boost because obviously with pollution controls being on front of mind, and especially after what's happened at Volkswagen, in the end, you're basically looking at this and saying, okay, this could be a benefit. Also, after the North American sales numbers, pretty solid. So we're going to watch that very closely. And then finally, the CAC. Taking a look at the CAC, we see that it's up almost 1% at 8.89%. Bottom line is with France, you're seeing that they're getting above that 20-day moving average. There's been a challenge, a battle right there for the short-term bulls. Seeing that battle right now being won by the bulls going into the week's end, we're seeing autos and finance continuing to lead. A lot of positives with the positive PMIs that we've been seeing coming out globally, except for in China, very mixed. We're seeing growth, potential inflation, and what's notable is June 8th, we will have in the UK the snap elections. Now, the Conservative Party that's led by Theresa May, their lead has narrowed quite a bit. As a matter of fact, the Conservatives, or the Labour Party, is really starting to pick up against the Conservatives. You could see that Theresa May's party may lose the control that they've had in Parliament. That would be very interesting, especially since the Scots could actually get a little bit more control in the Parliament. This could really lead to some interesting, volatile discussions about whether or not Brexit really is going to continue. I'm not saying, I'm just looking at this, I'm watching these numbers, and as close as it is, and if the Scots do start to get, that Nationalist Party starts to get a little bit more control, man, this could really lead to some volatility in the UK and FTSE, and then in Europe, across Europe. All right, folks, that is it for On the Open in Europe. Please join me later on today. I'm going to be talking about everything that's going on in the U.S. markets. We'll see you then.